We're back. We're back again, and what a whirlwind 48 hours, 24, 48 hours it's been, man. Jeez. 3-0 losers on the weekend. I mean, Christ almighty. In my preview, I said from 2-0 prediction to Man United, I've got to see more, man. I've got to see more. Like, I want a 3-0. Come on, like this is not what I mean. I didn't mean he didn't like I didn't mean for this 3-0. I wanted a Man United 3-0. That's what I wanted. I wanted Man United to win 3-0, not the other way. So yeah, basically carbon copy result last time round. Last season pretty much exactly the same 3-0. So, so yeah, to be honest, I can't lie. It's peak. It's peak out here, and I'll tell you what. On Boxing Day, it may not get any better. Wolves have got a new manager, and they're bouncing. 3-0 victors away to Leicester. You know, for a team that struggles at the bottom of the table, they didn't look like they were struggling on Sunday. So, what do we do? What do Manchester United do? Well, we'll talk about perhaps what they could do in the game in a moment, because by the looks of it, things don't seem to be settled whatsoever at Man United. There's so much news swirling around the stratosphere at the moment. So many things going on. Um, like Jesus, it's actually crazy. I suppose we could start at the point with the breaking news, right? The breaking, just fresh, hot off the press. Um, and that's Marcus Rashford. News on Marcus Rashford. Supposedly, he's essentially handed in a transfer request. He's called it quits. He said, "Yeah, it's over. It's done. I'm not getting back in this team." They probably had a single conversation, and it was just like, yeah, no, I've not got a future here whatsoever, at all. And the right decision's been made. The right decision has been made. I can't lie. It's it's a good decision. I'm happy that this is what's happening with Marcus Rashford. I'm glad that he's seeing a bigger picture here and thinks, yeah, moving away from Man United is probably going to be the best option for me. Yeah, it's going to be the best option for the club too. So, yeah, man, please go, leave for your sake and for Man United's sake. Like, and people will sit here and say, oh, but he's a legend. You don't shoot legends like. Yeah, he isn't really a legend. You think about it, he's just he for a little while was a cult hero before everyone sort of got sick and tired of him not pulling his weight and then turned into a politician. And we then disliked him even more. So yeah, there's probably like unwritten rules in football that you just don't do. Like a list of things that you just never do as a footballer to stay in people's good graces. So maybe that's probably what we're looking at here. Ravi, big ups to you, man. Good to see you. Question: do you feel that with the squad Amarim is out of his depth playing three at the back? Um, even if he was, I he's insisted he ain't changing it. He's not changing. He's not gonna switch tactics or cater to the players that previous managers have done. Because let's be real, he called it out. He called it out. He called out the process that managers commonly went on. Oh, we've got to play a way that gets the best out of these players. So they did that, and what happened? Players got their way, started taking liberties, stopped performing despite having things their way, and then manager gets bad results and gets pressure, and then manager gets sacked. He called it out. He said in press conferences that you can either stick to this plan, the manager's plan, my plan, and roll with the punches, suffer the short term pain, and build the team that fits that system and see longevity with it. That's going to be beneficial more so than putting faith in another manager trying to play the player's way and then ultimately getting the sack back a year later, same old, same old. So I'm absolutely in the manager's corner with this. I'm absolutely in the manager's corner with this. Now, of course, we look at this weekend's performance and results. We can say that the manager had a very big part to play in that result. So yeah, of course, he, and he, you know, very rightly so, held himself fully accountable for the result and the performance. He said, "Yeah, that one's on me." Um, and the guy looks like he does a good job in keeping like the focus of criticism off everyone else's backs and just solely takes the blame for himself. And that's a selfless trait. And I think from a player standpoint, when your manager does that for you after a bad game, when coaching staff you see the managers doing that for you, it makes you want to deliver good performances and good results more so. Um, so I'm relatively glad if anything to see that Amarin's just taking the blame here and just saying, yeah, I hold myself responsible for that. But man, I see a lot of people saying, man, this guy's tactics suck and shit like that. I'm thinking, I'm sorry, but this guy's just dominated in Portugal, and the replacement manager. I mean, Ruben Amorim's been here for a little over for roughly about a month now. His replacement manager is literally getting the sack. Sporting have said they're going to sack him because that's how bad. And they were seated at the top end of Portuguese football at the time, and now they're not, thanks to the replacement manager. Um, so yeah, it goes a long way. It goes a long way with Amorim. His impact, the ability of coaching players, of the tactical nous. I think people will say, "Oh, the guy's a god." He's a tactician, like tactical god or something. No, he's not a tactical god, but he's not a bum. He's not rubbish, right? He does things his way. He's not another Pep understudy. You don't try and copy the big boss. You don't try any of that. You figure out the way that you want to play that you think is best, and you stick to it, and you push the agenda, and players wherever it is you're at, whichever club it is that you're at, have to fall into line. That's how it's got to go. Um, and I'm hoping that Manchester United upset the status quo where players don't get their way and the manager does. So that to me has got to be the complexion of Manchester United moving forwards. Rashford needs to go abroad, PSG or even AC Milan, or better yet, Arsenal. Send him to Arsenal. Yeah, they're Bukayo Saka and Raheem Sterling's out for a little while. You know, could be many weeks, several months maybe. So I hear that North London is looking for a replacement, a hero to come and rescue them. So maybe Rashford can go and be the hero that North London needs. In doing so, he'll probably end up being a hero for Manchester United, can't lie. By just doing badly for the opposition. It's these players that can't hack what Amorim is wanting to play. It is. But that's just it. I think people will say because the players can't do it, you need to get better performances out of those players. Therefore, you adjust and cater to them. But then again, that's slipping the standards back into the players' hands and saying, well, the manager doesn't necessarily have the authority anymore because, once again, we give the power back to the players. You want to keep the power with the manager. You want to keep the power ultimately at Amarim's desk where he can control everything and effectively say, if you don't perform well in my team, if you don't perform well in my system, you're not cut out for this team. So you will be sold. You will be let go. You will be asked to find another club. That is quite simply the way that the cookie has to crumble in this scenario. So for me, it's good that players are getting exposed for the frauds to the system that they are, and they are frauds to the system. I think the players that are most uncomfortable at the moment are the ones that probably were maybe the longest standing problems. But yeah, we're learning a lot of truths, a lot of uncomfortable truths as Manchester United Football Club. Really uncomfortable truths. So listen, people might think like these players, it's not fair the way that Amron's treating them. And you know what? The media, they are vultures, right? British media, absolutely vultures. They circle when they think there is blood, right? When there's blood in the water. Now, Amarim's essentially done a relatively good job in draining blood out of the water, so the vultures were basically just circling absolutely nothing. But we've seen stories and fans believing stories and pitting the manager, or pitting the manager against the players, and that the manager's in the wrong. Like, look at the way he's treated certain players in this team. Oh, he's already a bum. He's already, a waster. Uh, you know, get hammer him out and stuff. Like, these people don't really understand the concept of elite level football. And I suppose we can stick a label on this club and what the fan base's perception of this club has seeped into. And I'm going to stick the label woke, woke on Manchester United and the media affiliations to the club. I'm going to stick woke on it. I genuinely believe Manchester United, and Arsenal will be the same. Manchester United are a woke club. Tottenham as well. Tottenham the same. Woke club, woke Chester United, because literally the problems right at the club are being highlighted at the moment, but everyone focuses on those that are less so a problem. Like, for example, Kobe Mainu, not a problem. Literally a young kid, academy prospect, played in the first team, done excellent. He's done excellently under Ten Hag for roughly about 2 seasons, and now we're back seeing the media essentially honing in on its next target, and it's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. We're seeing just how brutally unrealistic the media are being, and the fact that fans just swing from pillar to post, believing absolutely everything that comes out. So when the media start thinking Hobby's a suspect here, we can pin things next to his name, and then all the fans just, oh yeah, I see that too. I see that too. Yeah. Copy Minder, he's a real problem. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's a problem to you because you brown nose publications, you brown nose mainstream media, you brown nose radio shows and shit. Like, you follow the selected narrative. You don't actually use your eyes and your own independent thinking and realize who is and who isn't a problem, right? The media genuinely, and this is synonymous with all walks of life when it comes to mainstream. It's about the manipulation of control, right? So if it can happen in politics, it can damn sure happen in football too, right? They're going to control everything. They want to control everything. So the fact, the problem for Manchester United in terms of the fan base is that they need to understand when things happen at the club that look really harsh or really cruel. Oh, this isn't fair. Like, why are players getting treated like this, or why are staff being treated like that? That's really harsh. It's really cruel. And I'm thinking, so when people cry for change, the change happens. People then look at the change and think, I don't like this. So what is it? Is it buyer's remorse? Are people having buyer's remorse? Were they crying for change, and then when change actually happens, they got twitchy asses and had to make a move again? Is that what we're dealing with here? Do people get a little bit too hot under the collar when hard hitting home truths actually make it to the surface? It's like when somebody takes a wicked fantasy that people think are stupid, and then the, the fantasy comes to the desk, the table, and everyone that was sat there thinking, that's just ludicrous. And then the big box or big briefcase filled with facts and statistical evidence has actually proven this wild fantasy is absolutely outright truth, an undeniable truth. And everyone's just like brains all over the place just break. And that's what we're seeing with Manchester United. A lot of upsetting the apple cart to instill change that's needed to happen for a long, long time. For 10 years, we've been saying, change the club, fix us, save us, somebody save us. So somebody comes in and incites lots of change. Were just like, oh, yes, change. We finally got it. We've got the change we want. And then they decide, actually, change my mind. I don't want this change. So people want Man United to be successful. Okay, then, well, half of that squad needs to be sold. Look at the comments. Pretty much every single week, you see it. Sell half of the squad. Comments from fans all over the place. Sell half of the squad. Okay, well, sell half of the squad. They will do. But then the fans turn around and rescind their comments and say, actually, I really like these players. Why? Why do you like them all of a sudden? You see, the thing is that I don't I don't like these players. Like I'll say this, that this Manchester United team currently is one of the most unlikable Manchester United teams of all time. Like I don't think there has been a more disliked by its own fan base Manchester United squad than ever before. And this is, you know, we'll sip on the Kool-Aid for as long as possible, but even then, sipping on Kool-Aid gets a bit boring after a while. It does. It gets pretty boring, and you start to see through that as well. It's, people are starting to wake up to the facade that is how media, how fans, and how everything surrounding Manchester United is just it's just floating through a void of absolute nothingness with no purpose until people who have the power to incite change or invoke change start to bring around change. But then everyone starts pushing back because the change is not what they like. So it's honestly, to me, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. First, how do United get shot of these duds that are on big money? Well, I think the thing is that you've got to build interest with these players, and how do you do that? Do you play them into form and convince other clubs with the money to take them? Do you sit down with players and their agents and explain that their future doesn't lie with the club, and to convince them that, switching allegiances or taking a pay cut to revive or inject more life into your career is is more is more of a wiser, career choice for you. I think there's various ways in which you can probably deal with these players in terms of positioning them to get them out of the club. Now, maybe that sort of comes into play once again with the issue of Dan Ashworth. What happened with Dan? Like, why was Dan here and then the next minute he's not? Supposedly, by various reports, um, essentially, Dan Ashworth was, the handling of summer business was not up to scratch in accordance to one Sir Jim Ratcliffe. So, what was the disconnect in appreciation of business? Was it the incomings? I doubt it. I wouldn't have thought so. Or was it the severe lack of outgoings? Now, I think it's the severe lack of outgoings because Sergeant Ratcliffe has always had a sort of feeling, a vibe about this team or about this club or the squad that it's always really had. That he's like, I wouldn't want these players in my dream Manchester United team. I wouldn't. So of course he's going to hope that he's hiring people that see that incentive, see that picture, and then go, well, okay, well, yeah, let's get rid of half of these squads. Maybe if it was up to Sergeant Ratcliffe, he would off straight off the cusp bring in Ralph Rangnick, somebody who verbally demolished the Manchester United facade um, during a press conference. And his words 3/4 years later still stand true. What he said was truth. To me, it's gospel, absolutely gospel. But look at Rashford, major, big money, big money, and a couple of years left on his contract. He signed a contract, by the way. Rashford, he recently signed a contract, not too long ago, and now look at it. They've frozen him out the squad, like embroiled in controversy. All of a sudden, oh, transfer request. So this guy now wants to leave. So he will push for a move. Now, if Rashford wants to leave a club, we don't know what this Rashford is like. When he wants to leave a club, what is his bargain? Like what does he want? Right? Does he just want to get out, or does he want big money? Does he want to like go up, make a step up, or does he just I just want to play football. I just want to make a fresh start, because he said in an interview, an unauthorized interview, by the way, that he fancied a new challenge. So for me, it's stand on business, Marcus. Stand on business. Like, push to leave the club. The club needs it, and quite evidently, so do you. Going forward towards, how do United get a win? Nothing big or fancy, just get a win. Well, I mean, just get the ball in the back of the net. We create various chances. We just need a clinical attack, and it probably relies on Bruno not really being in and around the team. And do you know what? As controversial as it may be, we need to give Bruno the Rashford treatment. I honestly believe we need to give Bruno the Rashford treatment, because the guy was on so much money, and he's one of the worst performers in the team. Casemiro, massive money, and do you know what? I think with the Bruno contract, I'm wondering, with Dan Ashworth in the picture at the time, whether that was Dan Ashworth's idea to give Bruno this bumper contract. And that's probably, again, another bit of the business that Sergeant Ratcliffe has gone, what are you doing? No. Why give him 300k a week? And guess what? Guess what? We're all in agreement, Sir Jim. We're all in agreement. Why would you give Bruno Fernandes 300 plus k a week on a new bumper contract just to see right here, right now, one of the worst performers in this team and is absolutely murdering us on a football pitch? But people will defend Bruno playing because he's our GA merchant. Well, take away his GA, do other players increase their GA because there's not an immovable object on the pitch? Maybe, possibly, we need players that are more sound with linking up play, players that are capable of, receiving the ball and pressured situations, making a 5 yard pass. That's, you'd assume that's a simple thing to ask, but for some United players, that's tough. To make a 5 yard pass, that's really tough. But this team is not necessarily built for possession, yet it still plays possession. So, that's something that we can look at and say, well, at least we know that if we have possession-based players, the possession game works. It works. So, get rid of the non-possession players, bring in possession players, and what do you get? You get a settled team, knows its stuff, plays to the manager's tactics and demands, and ultimately, with the complement of talent, you start to see the results and performances come in leaps and bounds. And that's where we got to go. That's what we got to do. But we don't have players in the squad right now that can do it. We just haven't. We haven't got the players in the squad to do it. Amorim is someone that will meet players 50-50, but still wants it his way, respectfully, if that makes sense. So so in terms of Amorim's management style, he's not just stonewall with everyone, right? He's not blunt with everyone. He puts out feelers for what people's characters are, right? He wants to understand what kind of personalities he's communicating with and dealing with, because, and you saw it with Ferguson as well, when there were players that when you need to get a reaction out of a player, there's certain things that you got to do. You either familiarize yourself or relate with the player and say, yeah, I understand this, but this is what you've got to be doing, because where you're going at the moment is going to put your reputation in troubled waters, right? Or you get other players that don't respond necessarily to arm around your shoulder treatment, but more sort of direct and in your face and ego check, right? Some people need that ego check, the humbler. They need humbling. And there are some players in this team that really, really don't like being humbled, but it's what it's what we need. And people need to realise that with players that don't respond right to any form of treatment from the manager, we need to understand that they're not in it for the team. They won't. They're not in it for the team. They're not in it for the to perform for the manager, to fight for the manager, and in turn that means they're there to let the fans down. They're not in it. They're not in it with sincerity. They're in it for themselves. It's all ego. Cater to yourself. So I think with Amorim's management style, player to player, it's going to vary. It's going to vary how he treats certain players from others. It's all about getting the players to respond to it. First, I know the players will still join United, but we need to be a first choice compared to other teams out there. I think what it is, we sort of saw it with the summer. Joining a Manchester United in absolute chaos and carnage, you could say, is it's a tough it's a tough ordeal to convince anybody. But then again, if you look at players like Leon, for example, Paraguayan young left wing back, you know, doing business out in Paraguay. Any club could have offered him a contract or a move, but the scouting network of South America has picked him out, and straight away he's gone Manchester United. Oh yeah, I'm going, and now his whole local community is just like giving him massive celebrations. Like literally, his whole town is celebrating him getting a move to Manchester United. So obviously, it's a big deal still joining Manchester United. Quite evidently, looking at just pro footballing communities around the world. In South America, the whole town celebrating for a youngster getting a move to another club. You know that you don't necessarily get that sort of fanfare if it means absolutely nothing. It's just that's just a bit of quiet business. Great for the player and his family and his relatives, all of that stuff, right? Great, fantastic news. But the fact that they made such a massive deal about it has to hold further significance to it. So, um, but I think that it takes good negotiation to convince the player mentally that the choice of Manchester United is not what they think it is, but what we're going to educate you on what it is. Like, we're going to help you to see the picture we see. We're going to help you understand that you want top level. We are working to be top level. We believe that you are a pivotal part to complement us in becoming the best club in the world, right? And you listen to that and you think, what affairs? I would like to be a part of the best club in the world. You aim to be the best club in the world. You've laid that project out to me, and with a fairly respectable wage, not stupidity like 250/300k a week, but a respectable wage, a fair wage, an honest wage, plus then a very fascinating project to go with it. Play and tug on the heartstrings of a professional footballer. Don't kill the passion that they have for the game. Tap into that and get them to say yes to your project. Don't say yes to your contract, say yes to the project, right? The contract is the bonus. The contract is the side piece, right? That's your side quest, that contract. And hell, you join a club, you can improve that contract over time. And that's what professional footballers need to understand. You go to a big club, taking whatever contract they offer you, right, with the absolute incent like incessant nature to want to push to be the best player at that team or to be as good a player as you can possibly be. Essentially what you're going to get is your contract offers going to start coming in for renewal because your work that you're doing. Of course, you're going to get offers from other clubs, but they're going to push to sign you to extend your contract. And now the niceties really do seep into that contract because they realize, yeah, we can't really afford to lose you. We don't want to lose you. Let us, you know, let us treat you with some. Let's give you some special treatment here. So I still think in Man United's case, though it may be difficult, that Manchester United will still be a very solid, a very very solid club to join. Wagwan Donna. Uh, Nothing's going to change at your club, even under Ruben Interim. I see what you did there, but no, I'm sure it will change. I'm sure it will change. It's going to have to take time. It is going to have to take time, and we're going to have to face a lot more hardships in order to get that change. The only thing is that as much as we want to rage and cry about it, nothing's going to be solved with crying. It's not. It's just a sort of, you just have to endure it. You have to endure it, but keep your standards real, and essentially keep pressure on the board to constantly deliver. Because one of the biggest crimes that a fan can never ever commit is a service of disloyalty by not pushing for your club to get the best treatment. So the people that are in charge, or the decision makers at your club, start dropping the ball, start dropping standards, and then you start to see it happen on the pitch, and then it just gets worse and worse, and then inevitably you end up getting relegated and going down divisions. Mr. Hoppers, your club is going to be the same unless they hire me in their board. No shot, absolutely no shot. That is cap, absolutely unequivocally cap. Um, Rajat, God, that's been a while. Been a while since I've seen you in the chat. How we doing, mate? You all good? You are going to do Man United quiz or then do CM. I'm assuming that's career mode. Oh, I'm thinking that's career mode. I'm not sure. I'm already doing FC25 career modes, and mate, I've grown my team. I've grown my team. I've got a bit of a saucy team going on. Why would he go there when Layout is playing left wing already at AC Milan? That's true. Fuzz is getting angry, bro. Well, I wouldn't say angry. Of course, I'm frustrated and angry at the situation, but in terms of getting the point across, I think a bit of passion. I think people need to see passion. People need to see the passion in fans. So I think that's important. Just looking lifeless and just dead man walking settings. It's like it's not believable. Like it's just you don't correlate to it. Now Bruno is still performing okay. No, I disagree. I disagree. It's a similar situation I find with strikers where the goals can mask the performance. So of course people will argue, but you pay them to score the goals, and that's what they did. Even if they put in the stinker performance, if they scored the goal, they've achieved what you paid them to do. But that's focusing on one point, whereas with a team, there are about 11, 12 points, right? 11 players on a pitch and a manager, right? There's various points of focus, loads of points of focus. If one player gets the goal, scores one goal, awful performance, right? But the impact of that poor performance has affected the rest of the team. That one goal, people will say that's all that matters. Whereas the performance was awful, the result was negative, and ultimately where we've ended up going to is the rest of the team. If they had performed better because the striker did more or gave us more in the team, if, for example, instead of shooting for himself and the shot goes over the bar, plays a left side, right hand side pass to the player in a better position, and he scores the goal, that's two goals because your striker did a little bit of extra work off the ball. So the performance goes up, team impact goes up with it. And that's where you get the terms that you are as strong as your weakest link. So if your striker is really just he's stinking out the gaff, then the rest of the team is probably they're not going to smell so fresh either. So that's where I'm coming from with that. 100% that is truth. When Rashi scores goals, he thinks he's our only end goal. It's frustrating, bro, to be honest. And the thing is, right, is with Rashford leaving the team, with Rashford heading out the door, I think gone is the days that player power is generally prevalent. and gets a free rein. Rashford leaving the team straight away, one of your figureheads of that dressing room is now walking out the door. The other figureheads may soon follow. They may also walk out the door as well. And Ineos will be punching the air in celebration, like, yes, big wages, cut off the wage bill. Now, that's one thing, but that's just them looking at finance sheets. For us, we look at it and say, players that have been too comfortable for too long, and us fans are the fool guys, well, we're not going to be fooling anymore because we're getting the parachutes and we're going to land on our feet, whilst the other players that took liberties at our club, they're not going to be able to stick the landing. They're going to encounter a hard landing. They're going to get the humbling. They're going to get the reality bites. They're going to have the truth seep into their veins, course into their veins. Their ambitions will be challenged. They'll face adversity, but ultimately, they will be better for it because the brutal world of elite level football has shown them their true colours to themselves, because God knows that all the other fans of rival clubs around England and Europe rate our players. They don't really. They don't really rate our players, and they don't rate them for a reason. You know, if players have got something great to say about you, like for instance, like Arsenal fans would speak highly of Cole Palmer. They'd say, yeah, no, Cole Palmer's a great player. Rival fans say, oh, Jadon Sancho, he's a good player. Like those are players that you look at and you say, well, yeah, these players are genuinely good. That's the general consensus. But with Man United, there are players there that our own fans lord up, false dawns, false narratives, players that think they are better than what they actually are. But because they are so comfortable in that sort of world of delusion, why do I need to perform? Why do I need to do the dirty work? You know, why do I need to, you know, roll up my sleeves and get my knees muddied? You know, why do I need to put in the hard yards? I don't need that. I don't need to do that. I'm the superstar here. And that's where the air of complacency of Manchester United just died. It's just died. And I'm hoping that the air of complacency, the era of player power, and taking the piss out of 76,000 fans every single week, plus the millions of fans around the world, that era, well, that gets packed up in a suitcase and it follows Marcus Rashford right out that exit door. That's where I feel. That's what I'm feeling with this Marcus Rashford situation. And I want to see us, you know, get around to, you know, a better situation. That's what I feel like we need. We need to have players that just get it, that understand it. Yeah, being a professional footballer, the sacrifice that you genuinely need to put in every single week just to make ends meet for the week, and how it just goes on and on and on and on and on, and you just never give up. Mustafa, what is your skincare routine? To be honest, completely nothing, just absolutely nothing. Like my skincare is practically non-existent. Like I've got dry skin all over my face, which is why it looks like I've got like flaky bits around. Like it's genuinely just horrendous. My skin quality, but yeah, that's just a hereditary thing. Like I've got major like eczema. Like you see that is crusty dry skin right there. Like I get it on my scalp as well. Head and shoulders. I mean, Head and Shoulders keeps this relatively flake free. So, yeah. It's like I don't joke when I say you're a very beautiful and attractive gentleman. Well, I mean, I appreciate compliments. I do appreciate compliments. as long as it's nothing that genuinely just takes the piss or goes over OTT over the top. Look much younger than you are. To be fair, I do look quite youthful, and I think it's probably this lack of this. The lack of this is this still feels like, or not feels like, it still looks like puberty phase facial hair, but long facial hair has never been a feat in my bloodline. So yeah, jokes aside, what face wash do you use? Um, I don't think I necessarily use any face wash at the moment. If I do end up washing my face, it's probably just with, filled sink, soapy water, wet flannel, and give it a proper scrub down. Um, that's pretty much it's as basic as it comes, pretty much. Um, but yeah, sometimes the simple stuff is the best stuff. But anyways, uh, Wolves on Boxing Day. What am I thinking? I'm thinking I want to give Man United the benefit of the doubt and just say, well, the situation's just a little bit hectic at the moment. A bit of something just to calm us down a little bit. Um, I'll probably go as far as to say that we can get a result away from home. I'll go with a 2-1, 2-1 to Man United. I think they'll Wolves will be a completely different beast, completely different beast. Um, so I think going into this game, we of course need a response to the Bournemouth game. And I think with a lot of the situation going on with Rashford as such, and people reporting that the morale in the Man United workforce is at an all-time low. Um, I think again that's just people. That's just the woke mindset when the new establishment, the new order upsets the status quo. People get all sad and they're all up in their feelings and they get all butthurt with it. Me, I'm just not like that. I think cynical thinking is definitely the best way. The ruthless agenda absolutely has to be front and center to what we do moving forwards. And it's a culture that um, it produces, you know, factual evidence would state that that sort of culture at a club provides success. It does provide success. You only care about excellency, and you settle for nothing less than it. I mean, case in example, Real Madrid. Need I say anything else? That's where we are. That's where we're at with this. Um, hmm. With Wolves on this weekend, I think people will say, "Well, start Hoyland. I'll start Xerxes." I think I'm a little less concerned about. I'm less concerned about who starts in the 9. I'm more concerned about who starts in the 10. I'm more concerned about who starts in the 8s and who basically plays out that game. Agate, we saw when he comes off the pitch, game changes entirely. Midfield security and defensive cover disappears. Bruno in that in the 8 position cannot be trusted. He's not linking up play. He's not doing fundamental basics right. He's not. He's not doing the very basics. Um, well, he may be doing the basics, but he's not doing the basics to a very high standard. Kobe Minu, I feel like probably playing out of position because he's looking like he's struggling a little bit, and I think we should ought to give him a feat of experimentation in the number 10. I think that's going to be important that we see perhaps we can develop Kobe Minu into a very strong contender for the number 10 position. I think Ahmad owns that right side of 10 position at the moment. Question marks about the right wing back. I think Mazraoui could play there, provide support to the right winger, defensive cover. But I think where you play a defensive wing back on one side, you do need to balance the playing field by putting a more attacking option on the other side. For example, a winger. You play a wing back on one side, or a full back on one side, and you play a winger on the other. You know, the yin and yang in the wide areas of the pitch. And do Manchester United have options for that? I think on the right hand side, defensively, absolutely sound. Left side, an option defensively, not really anything offensively. With the right hand side as well, I mean, offensively, the option's Anthony, but that's not really anything to write home about. So, yeah, I'm on edge about Anthony. I really, really am on edge because as a winger, he has no future. As a wing back, he may have a future, but that's a completely new role, completely different approach. I don't think he's necessarily ever played as a wing back before. I think he's definitely been used as a winger, so I don't think we'll necessarily ever get to seeing the very best of Anthony as the football player, playing on the right hand side. I think there is going to have to be an assessment with that. I think bringing somebody else in that can play offensively on that right hand side is going to be important, and somebody that's strong defensively on the left side. That's where I think we need to go with this. I think Mazraoui can be used more or less as a right side of the back three. I think Diogo Dalot, I think you'd only ever really need to use him at most as a backup, because I don't necessarily see him having longevity in this team, because he's not really being the solution for anything at all. So I do feel like at this moment in time we need to see signings, sales, and just a restacking of the deck. Restack the cards, reshuffle the deck, figure out roles for players. I think players like Bruno, there's other players that are better suited to roles in the team. I think with Bruno, it's going to be really frustrating, because it's like, for a player you so badly want to make it work out, I don't see it working out. Like, for as much of the GA as he gives us, or look at the goals he can score, look at the assists, the amount of chances he creates and stuff like that, I'm like, that's all cool, but like I've said already, it's the football match is not played in 1 minute's worth of time. It's played in 90 minutes. So you can contribute in an accumulative 1 minute of the game, but you can also lose your team the game in equal amount of time. So there's so many windows that are open for good and bad things to happen. But if your player is not suited expert, like with expertise or in any sorts in specific roles in a team, you're going to find that the door of opportunity just closes. And patience, because you can't figure things out, wears thin really, really quick. So you end up back in a really difficult position. And I think with Bruno's case, he won't go in January, absolutely not. But if he doesn't really fix up, and we see him kill that 10 position and kill the 8 position and murder this team, I honestly think that they will push they will push to get him out. I do. I really do think that they'll push to get him out because Amarim can prove to us there are no favourites in this team. If there are favourites, it's favouritism because you can absolutely trust on them. Bruno, you can trust that he is not trustworthy. You can trust that because how many times do we see it? Bruno, he's not a big game player. Oh, he's not delivered for us in the big games against big teams. He stat pads against the smaller opposition. That's been a narrative for quite a few years now. Quite a few years. And I think there is probably considerable reason to agree with that. I do think that there's considerable reason to agree with it. Just simply because you look at the way he plays, the style that he plays with in 90 minutes, doesn't necessarily find impact in games anymore. It only comes in pocket moments, tiny little clippets of moments where a defender goes to sleep or the space between defenders is just a little bit too wide and he can exploit it rather than using initiative. You know? And I essentially think that, right, that with, for example, Cole Palmer at Chelsea is basically what Bruno Fernandes should be doing, right? That sort of a player, that type of player, that type of play style, can play possession ball any day of the week, but has the marquee player moment, right? But priorities come first in his game, right? And Bruno hasn't necessarily got that. He's all about being the star of the show. So, yeah, in terms of defense, I think Lenny Yoro got, that Lenny Yoro I think is getting a lot of flack for saying, he's definitely not ready. He's not ready. He's not ready. I think he's ready to be playing first team football. He's just not ready to be playing in a team that's so rife with inconsistencies, and it's a habitual thing. A habitual thing with these players, and they seem to go hand in hand with each other. Like somebody comes in, plays for about half a season, and they start putting in bad performances. Same as everybody else. I thought they were better than them. I thought they were better than this. We all thought so too, except it has come full circle once again. Oh, look at this. It's they're now one of the toxic ones. And that's where clear out is perceivably justified. Perceivably justified. And I absolutely think that we need to give time and patience to Amarim. He feels what we feel, the same frustrations. He's saying everything is just so hard. It's all just really hard at the moment. And we sympathise with that. We do sympathise with it. It's a brutally harsh job. But you're dealing with a toxic environment. And we support you having time and as much time as you need to clear out the toxicity. Even if you can get the squad to a non-toxic phase, even if we say the quality in the squad's not all that, it's not too good, even if that's the case, but the players in the squad are all pulling their weight, that's a team a Manchester United fan can get behind and see that there is something bigger. There's more to this team than definitely meets the eye for all the right reasons. Right, we don't have superstar players in this team. But the superstars will come. The superstars will come. It just needs the the failed superstars, the toxic elements of this team, flush them out, replace them with honest, humble, hard-working players, build a team with that, the foundations and fundamentals, and you can build it up from there. The base needs to be resolute. The base needs to be strong, solid, and it needs to be the start of something special. So I think Amarim, give him the time and patience, and you will see that. You will see that specialty about Manchester United. I think in its own way start to shine through. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think about situations at Manchester United. Also, absolutely horrendous, by the way, the mice infestation at Old Trafford, found in like I think it's toilets and foods kiosks. I'm thinking, what the seriously? 2 out of 5 stars by the health inspectors. 2 stars. That's more than I was expecting it to get. To be honest, that's more than I was expecting it to get. 2 stars, yeah, hell yeah, I'll take that. Surprised he didn't get 1 star. Surprised he didn't get 0 stars, half a star, -5 stars. So we're cooking salmonella. Probably that's probably what happened. They probably forgot that they didn't serve chicken. They served dead rats and cooked up a rat and made everybody ill. I don't know what the corner cutting, um, what sort of corner cutting goes on at Manchester United. I don't know how far or how desperate people are, but nonetheless, we hope to look forward to definitely a more successful, a less toxic, a more relaxed 2025. But with football, nothing is quite as simple as it seems. So, so yeah. Let me know what your guys' thoughts and feelings are in the comment section down below. Don't forget as well to smash the likes and subscribe. Um, let's send y'all over. I'm not, sadly, I'm not a monetized channel at the moment, so I cannot do channel raids. I can't send people anywhere. But I'll pop this link in the chat. Do be sure to go over there and go join in with the festivity fun times over on Arsenal, the history and more, and also streaming over on Early Doors Football TV and all of that, all that good stuff. I'll drop the link for Early Doors' show as well, just in case if you want to watch it from 2 different perspectives. Go drop them some love and wish them a Merry Christmas. And of course, with me, I'm going to be mad busy tomorrow, unless something really significant happens in the news. That way, we'll be live again. But if not, have everybody in the chat watching on playback. Have yourselves a wonderful Christmas. I hope everybody gets all the presents that they were hoping for. I'm hoping that everyone finds joy, laughter, and very much homely, hearty family time, festivities and enjoyment and happiness. And a toast up to a new year coming around the corner, and hopefully, in Man United's case, a better 2025 than we've seen so far this year for 2024. Have a wonderful Christmas, guys. Take care. We'll see you at the very least on Boxing Day. Boxing Day it is. Take care, people. All the best and enjoy yourself. a wonderful little Christmas.